cowboy. I couldn't leave Dallas without getting an official cowboy hat. Isn't this the cutest thing ever? I'm excited. I like Dallas a lot. So I'll be going back. I'll be maybe a cowgirl. Ooh, you never know. But anywho, thank you all for joining us again this evening. We have a great show once again, as usual. We're pretty good, getting good at what we do here, so we get excited about it. So, but it's always a joy and a pleasure to have you all join us. Um, and please tell a friend and tell that friend to tell a friend, and then share that information on social media. Okay, sounds good. All right. So before we get into the show, let me introduce my hostess with the mostest and Mr. Gerald C. Anderson. Hello, Gerald. Come on, Gerald.
Hey,
Don't you love when I sing you in?
No,
I
not really.
love to sing you in. I think I missed my calling. I think
Yeah,
I
no, I don't think you missed your calling.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, how's your week going so far?
Oh, I think my week is full of turmoil, just like everyone else in the country.
I understand. Well, at least it's getting a little bit warmer here in Florida. I'm happy
Oh, it's
about
great
that.
here. It was 60 degrees here.
Yeah, it's getting better. So, did you hear that? I'm just coming from Dallas. Like, you see my hat?
Yeah, I think I've heard that for the 40th time now.
Okay, okay. I wasn't sure, so I just wanted to kind of, throw that in there again.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
I think
I
I've
love,
heard.
I like Dallas.
I see.
So yes, so we have a great show once again. I
Mm,
was informing everyone, and those of you that are watching or listening, please feel free to send in your questions, your comments, perhaps even suggestions. And if you have any questions or comments for our uh, guests, please feel free to do so as well.
mm.
But we're always excited about the show. Maybe I get a little too excited, but this is me, right? All right. So you want to go ahead and let's get Miss Buff on. I hear she has
Who?
something really special. Miss Buff
Oh,
Patterson.
yeah, Buff. I
Just
remember.
kind of because she said she has something special for us tonight. So I just wanted to, and she's looking
Yeah,
quite cute.
we
So
need to remind her, she don't get 30 minutes.
yeah, we need to throw that part in there. Maybe I
We
need a
get her.
sign for her, or we get a dancing Sandman to go across the screen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to our positive media moment with Miss Buff Patterson. Hello,
Hey.
Buffy. Yeah,
You
you
know,
so
I got to take
pretty.
my moments. I got to take my moments. It's only
Take
a
all the
few.
moments.
I got to steal my moments. Steal my moments. Well,
Still,
I am Buffy with life's positive media moment. And
yes, you are.
today's
Today.
positive media moment is all about
Yes.
ranch dressing, ranch.
Ooh, I love me some
Do you
ranch
like some
dressing.
ranch? Do you like
I
some
love
ranch?
I
Yeah.
like me some ranch.
Gerald, did you like some ranch dressing?
Actually, no, I don't. I
Well,
prefer
you know what? You're
plain.
not American. This is only for the ranch people. You can eat it with everything, with salads, with chicken wings. The ranch
Yes,
dressing goes everywhere. Well,
yes.
this was invented by a
Cuban
black
cheese
man.
toast.
The what?
Cuban cheese toast.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Woo. Well, let me tell
Oh,
you, ranch dressing was created by a black man named Steve Henson.
what you say?
Yes. What did I say? He was born in 1912. He was raised in Nebraska, but then he went to Colorado. I mean, to Alaska, became a plumbing contractor. And
Ah,
he met his wife. He decided that he wanted to feed his crew, being a plumbing contractor, and he started creating this dressing. And it became so popular, he ended up moving to Santa Barbara, towards that area in California, and opened up a ranch called Hidden Valley Ranch.
Mm.
what
It
you
became,
say?
yes. And it was so popular. Remember back in the day, you could go places and buy packets of little, like it was like a little packet of dressing, and then you had to mix it with mayonnaise
That was before my time.
well, that's how you used to be able to buy it, but that's how you should start selling it to the public in these little packets so they can
Yeah.
go home and mix it with buttermilk or salad dressing. And it was so popular. Um, he actually ended up selling it to Clorox for $8 million. And at that time, it was like worth over 80 some $1 million. And then he ended up retiring. But the fact that something so beloved to
Yes.
everyone, Hidden Valley Ranch was created by a man of color. And
Wow.
nothing amazes me. Nothing amazes me
Wow. So he
anymore. I'm
sold
so excited.
dressing. So he sold ranch
He sold,
dressing to rich.
Hidden Valley Ranch in 1972. He was an older man. I think was he in his 60s at the time, and I don't think he had any children. So him and his wife just went on, retired, and took his, at that time would have been worth over 88 million dollars at the time,
Wow.
based on those numbers. And he went and
Mhm.
retired, and we now still enjoy ranch, Hidden Valley Ranch dressing. And I just ranch.
That
He
it is
ranch.
it is a
Yes.
very popular, yes, everyone knows that brand, that name. That is very interesting. Wow. Never knew that.
Yes. And
Good
yeah, you know what? Hidden in plain sight. Hidden in plain sight. I always say that we have to
always.
celebrate all our accomplishments, near, far, and past.
And
And
it's
that was
never
my
too late.
life's positive media moment.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
You're
appreciate it.
wonderful.
Go to the gym.
Wayne's World.
Great job,
Good
great
job.
job.
Good job. That's really good. Wow. Hidden Valley Ranch. Who would have known? Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought
There
that?
you go. That's good
Leave it
stuff.
above
Yeah.
educate us every show.
Always. Every time. Every time. So go ahead. Well, who we have up next, Gerald?
Well, next we have our new segment that we added. We speak life into the people. And my very good friend, my very good longtime friend, we've been knowing each other for a couple of years now. And so she didn't realize she was a permanent part of the show, but now she knows that she's a permanent part of the show because we need her to speak life into the people, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Avis Dillard Bullock, so she can speak life.
Yes.
Hello, Gerald and Tina.
Hello once again, my
you.
dear.
And hello, everyone. It is an honor to be here. And like Gerald said, I was not expecting to come back another week. I thought it was a one-time good deal. And so my heart kind of sank in fear. Oh, I have to do this every week. But I do thank him for that opportunity. And it's always awesome to speak life into others. And as the words say, be ready in season and out of season. So this week's word is a seat at the table, the family table.
All right.
The unspoken lessons we learn at our family's table. Live within our means, be the parents first and not the friend. Respect, protect, and trust God. Those were the unspoken lessons I learned at our family table. We did not have everything we wanted or the newest, but we had all we needed and many of our wants. I come from a large family. It was 10 of us. I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters. But the things that I learned was boundaries in the way we treated and spoke to our parents. Respect those appointed over us, protect the younger one, and trust God. So in your haste to be other than or more than, do not forget to reflect on the lessons from your family table.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Terry just has some great ones out there, so we appreciate you coming on and sharing those with us.
And thank you. And Proverbs 3:1 is the verse that this came from.
Amen. Thank
Yes,
you.
amen. That is really, oh, I like that a lot. A
Yeah.
seat at the family table.
Right.
I love
We
that.
know we know that you're down there enjoying the sun, but it was 60 degrees here today.
So
Yes,
thank you,
yes,
thank you, thank you.
absolutely. I think she froze up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Right. So Avis, did you hear me? I said it was 60 degrees here today.
I
Oh,
don't think she heard. Yeah, she didn't hear you. I think it's freezing up a
yeah.
little bit. But
Okay.
she always she gives us life lessons for
Sorry
sure.
about that. I'm in a hotel, so I do apologize.
Yes, we
Okay.
know you at a conference. So we thank you for taking time out of your conference to join us. We really appreciate that very much
Right.
so.
Well, thank you. Have a good evening. Enjoy the sun.
And thank you again for the opportunity.
All
You're
right.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, she always gives us like teaching moments, those little teaching tablets. I like to call them teaching tablets. We take a little dose of it, we keep a note of it, and kind of try and get it imprinted in our brain. I always tell my students, you practice to make it permanent, not practice to make it perfect. So you practice to make it permanently imprinted
Right.
is a great way to do it. So
Yeah, so we're being educated twice over now.
I know.
But
I love it.
back to back. Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Never too late to learn. Keep learning. All right, Gerald. So what we have next?
So we got our guest on next. This is Carol. I hope I pronounced his last name right. Engler.
Engler.
Yeah.
Engler.
Carol's an author, advocate, and former newspaper reporter
Yes.
who uses her unique blend of humor and heartfelt storytelling to shine the light on the challenges of parenting a child with neurological
Say that 5 times.
and mental health disorders. So this should be a very interesting interview. Is out there,
Absolutely.
I looked up her book, and the book is doing well on Amazon. So let us bring Carol to the stage.
Hello, Miss Carol.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Hey,
We're excited to have you.
You know, this is my very first podcast ever.
What?
Why not start with life?
First time podcast.
Why not start with life, huh?
One and your first one. Good one.
Right.
Good.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I used to be a newspaper reporter in a small town called Yuma, Arizona. I've been writing since I was 5 years old. And when I moved to Los Angeles when I was 13, I used to interview music groups like the Monkees, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Grassroots, Chambers Brothers, Moody Blues. So I did all these interviews back then. And I decided that I just really liked the written word. And you can reach so many people in so many different ways, when you're writing. You can write dramatic, you can write sad, you can write inspirational. It's just unlimited what you can do. So I did that for quite a few years. Had a disagreement with my editor, and I told him where he could put all the presses where the sun didn't shine, and I was out of a job. So I decided to write books.
I think that'll do it.
Yeah, this way I only have to, talk to myself, not him.
Wonderful. So again, coming from being a journalist and now being, an author, how did that transition feel?
It was just a continuation of what I'd been doing all my life, but it's just so much more freeing when you can write what you want, say what you want. And other than, grammatical errors, not having somebody look over your shoulder. Did quite a few interviews. I don't know, I think it was way before your time. We had this group called the Tyson Gang that broke out of Arizona prison, and they cut this swath of death and destruction across 3 states.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
the only journalist in the country that interviewed all of them. And I had all my stories printed, throughout the country. And so I thought, this is kind of fun.
Being able to write your own story with your own words. I mean, and not being directed and edited, so to speak.
Yes, yes. Very, very freeing and
Mhm.
lots and lots of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Gerald, you
Gerald,
had some.
you were talking about neurological disorders. And if I could just jump in, I kind of wanted to break those down as
Mhm.
to specifically what it was that my experience has been. And it's with Tourette Syndrome. Don't know how many people know. I swear my son had the first case of Tourette Syndrome in Yuma, Arizona. Yuma's on the Mexican border. We're on the border of California and Mexico in Arizona. And then he
Okay.
was also autistic and had obsessive compulsive disorder, which was lots of fun. And, they just call it the spectrum because
On the spectrum. Yes.
there's just so many different aspects of that spectrum.
Correct.
So that must have been a lot of challenges for you.
That's an understatement.
Yes. As you grit your teeth. Yes.
The whole purpose of writing the book, this was, my son was born in 1986. And in 1988, I started experiencing, what I thought were unusual behavior, a lot of issues. And back in 1988, nobody knew what Tourette syndrome was. People weren't really even acknowledging autism. And it was extremely frustrating and painful to go through what we had to go through to get him diagnosed, to get treatment. School was just an absolute nightmare for all of us. And so I decided to put all that into a story with a lot of humor because I didn't want to be morbid. But the flip side was I've told everybody I'm the Irma Bombeck of mental health. And most of the people don't even know who Irma Bombeck was.
I don't. I'll admit it.
When your age, he was one of the greatest humorists and writers, of our time.
Okay.
So you would say humor was your way of kind of handling it all, because it's a lot. That was a lot to manage.
It was tremendous. And if it wasn't for the humor, I just don't think we could have gotten through it. When I was writing the book, I was working full time. So I was just kind of writing the book in my spare time. And I was with a friend and she was sitting at the bar and she was bawling and laughing. And I'm watching her and I'm going, what are you doing? What's wrong? And she goes, I'm reading your manuscript and I don't know whether to laugh or cry. So I'm doing both.
Yes. And which is a great way. It's a great direction, I think, to write a story that's so intense and deep. It's to have a little bit of humor in it. So I think that was really great for you to do because you feel both portions because the laughter, I'm sure, helped keep you sane, to say the least.
Considering, I guess, sane to some extent. I'm not sure who was, more on the spectrum, my son or me.
But I think it's great that you're facing all these challenges with your child, but you didn't stop there. You became an advocate for other families too. So, most people would have just like, I got this challenge with my child. Let me just deal with that. I can't do anything else. But you took it to another level by being an advocate and for other families as well.
Hell hath no fury like a Jewish mother scorned.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you also say like it's just raw emotions. It's like raw emotions just narrated in a humorous way. I think that was such a great approach. I love that.
I had a gentleman that I did not know well, and he called me out of the blue and he got my book and was reading it on a flight to Thailand from Los Angeles. And he says the stewardess, or flight attendant thought he was insane because one minute he was wiping his eyes crying, the next minute he burst out laughing. It was so totally unsolicited from him, and I just said, then I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. So what made you want to put this in writing for all of everyone to see, experience, read? Like why? Why put it in a book? Why not just keep it as your this is your story, this is what your family is going through? Why put it in writing?
Because of the many, many people that helped me, I felt that the only way to thank them was to, I guess you call it, play it forward.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like playing it backwards. I get involved after the fact, but it was just something that I don't want to call it a manual for life. 80% of parents with special needs children get divorced. And I just needed these people to have some validation and to realize that A, they're not alone, and B, there was light at the end of the tunnel. And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't a train.
Yeah. So how did you educate yourself about this? Because I'm sure you didn't know about this, like, on the spectrum. So how did you educate yourself about it?
Oh, I drove everybody nuts. I was contacting we couldn't get a diagnosis for about 3 years, and my son was diagnosed accidentally, which is mostly how Tourette's gets diagnosed. My niece was sitting there in the kitchen, and she goes, "I know what's wrong with Aaron." I go, "What makes you think you know? We've been to doctors in 3 different states,
Right.
and absolutely nobody knows what the problem is." She goes, "He has Tourette syndrome." I go, "What is that?" She goes, "It's a neurological disease. You do tics." And I said, "How do you know that's what he's got?" She goes, "Because my boyfriend has it. Haven't you ever noticed when Bobby's sitting there with you, he's always going, I thought I just made him nervous."
Wow.
And I remember speaking to a national well-known Tourette's doctor, and his comment is, Tourette's is the only neurological disorder that you can diagnose over the telephone because they bark.
No, really?
Yes. Our son did a lot of barking. We had dinner one night, and our friends are saying, "Do you have a dog? We didn't know you had a dog." And my husband and I, kept right on eating, saying, "No, that's Aaron." And we didn't miss a step.
Wow.
So that's part of the symptoms.
Yeah, that is so interesting because I'm sure much with this symptom is you have to educate yourself first and foremost so you know how to handle it, right? And how did you find like support groups?
Oh, I invented them.
Okay.
I started them, but I was contacting, once we knew what he had, I contacted and this was before the internet. You actually had to go to a library, take a book out and read. Something that I'm sure you, especially you, Gerald, probably never did, but
I did.
So I contacted the National Tourette Syndrome Association in New York City, and I kept calling them every single day going, "Where do I go? What do I do? How do I get help? Where do I get information?" I mean, I drove them nuts. And finally the woman says, "Can you please stop calling us and talk to your Arizona chapter president?" I go, "We have a chapter in Arizona?" And the next day that woman flew down to Yuma and explained everything to, my husband, myself, and we learned so much because of their wealth of knowledge, their experience, and their willingness to share. And that's something that I think you find in most support groups of any kind. So I started a support group in Yuma, and then I went to the national Tourette's conferences that they had. They had them all over the country, and nothing like being in a room with 1,000 people who are barking, ticking.
I don't mean to laugh, but that has to be like.
First, it just scared the bejeebies out of me. I'm like, what have I got myself into?
Yes.
You take my son and you times him by, thousands of people. And it was a little unnerving. And after a while, I just kind of joined right in.
Yes.
So
Yeah, Gerald.
A comment from Desiree.
Bringing that awareness. Yeah.
I'm glad
and go ahead, Joe.
I'm glad there's more awareness and understanding in our world about Tourette syndrome now.
It takes literally an entire village to help these kids. And, I used to, before, every time he went to a new grade, I would do what's called an in-service in the school, not only for the teachers, but also for the students, for his classmates. Because the first couple of years, my husband forbid me, like, I'm going to listen, right? He said, don't tell anybody about it. Just keep it a secret. And I said,
Right.
that's indicative that something's wrong and there's nothing wrong. And so the first couple of years he was being, expelled from every school he went to. And then I said, you know what, let's try it my way. So I would have a meeting with his entire class before school started, explain everything, and just told him, he's not odd, he's not weird. It's like trying to control a sneeze. At some point, the sneeze has to. Same with these.
Right. That's a great an example.
And so with the ticks, they have to come out. He has to twitch. He has to, chortle in his throat. He has to clear his throat. I mean, it's just nonstop. And so when the first time I did that in the school semester, the students were so protective of him. They wouldn't let other kids tease him. They wouldn't let other kids taunt him. I mean, you take the hardest day of your life, whatever that worst experience is, these kids go through that every single day.
Wow. I couldn't imagine.
So what are some things that you have seen that changed over the years since you said this was like the late 80s? So what are some of the things that have changed since that time?
That's a great question. I'm sorry to say that funding for mental health has diminished to practically nothing. I spent, 20 years fighting with my insurance company, saying, no, it's not a behavioral issue. It is a neurological issue. It's a health issue. It's no different than diabetes. You can't control, or, most of the time you can't avoid diabetes if that's what your family inclination is. Tourette syndrome is hereditary. It's passed down from generation. We didn't know that, we had it. I'm going to be 72 this year, and I still have tics, and I still move my mouth, and I'm not aware of. I'll look at movies or pictures, and I'm going, what am I doing with my face? Because you're not aware of it. And so just the awareness has been tremendous in terms of getting these kids, the help they need. The police in our town, we had a couple of kids that, had been arrested multiple times. And when I intervened, instead of taking the children to juvenile court, take them to prison, I was able to get them admitted into a mental health facility out of town, but at least they were able to get the understanding and help that they needed. And that was just so critical, because people have to take the stigma off of mental health. Just because you can't see it, like you see a broken arm or leg, doesn't mean it's not there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Wow. It's that I definitely appreciate the awareness that you're bringing to this, because you mentioned this throughout your interview here that, there's not much talk about Tourette. And I think this may have been the second time I may have heard about it. The first time, unfortunately, was because now they have some reality show, a new reality show with a young lady that has Tourette's. So something is happening where more awareness is being brought to this, you think?
We actually had our book turned into a screenplay, and we are in the process of filming. They call it a proof of concept. I call it a short or a trailer. And so we're hoping to get a full movie out of it, so people will see what it's like. They can experience it, firsthand. They'll understand the trauma that these kids and adults, young adults and adults, go through. And it's just gut-wrenching to watch, to experience. A mother's hurt for her child is worse than any hurt for herself. And I'm really, really hoping that we get the word out And if I have my way, this film is going to do it.
Yeah. And you speak about the trauma of the children or the, the adults that are going through this, but also the trauma that the family may be challenged with as well. I think that's something that you can bring attention to. Have you tried, or maybe I should ask, what is your way of managing the trauma of it all?
Oh, we got
You, your
divorced.
husband, your family, you
We got
know.
divorced. 80% I didn't want to be, the exception. I wanted to be the rule.
Right.
But, again, I go back to humor.
Mhm.
You have to be able to address it with some amount of humor. Otherwise, it can eat you up. And if you
Yeah.
let it eat you up, I feel
Yeah.
such empathy for the siblings of these special kids, because the
Mhm.
siblings are just kind of set by the wayside. You spend so much time and energy on, I call it saving these kids, keeping them
Right.
safe, keeping them from
Right.
being bullied, helping them with school.
Mhm.
My son was absolutely a savant when it came to art.
Wow.
Excuse me, drew all the anime. He was just phenomenal. And he had the chance to go to art school when he was 12. And yet, you've got other siblings that are going, well, what about me? Why can't I be special? Why can't I have that kind of
Mhm.
energy
Mhm.
and attention? So those
And
families are to be saluted.
yes. And is this your only child or you have other children?
I have one other daughter, and she spent her whole life living in his shadow.
Mhm.
And she doesn't like me at times because of it, but she's young. So when she grows up, she's got 3 children of her own now. She'll see
Mhm.
how hard it is sometimes to navigate,
And manage it. Yes.
that you
Yes.
have no control over. So you either deal with it or you don't, but you don't have an option. You have to deal with it.
Right.
Wow. Mm.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you joining us here tonight.
May I just tell them the book and how they can get it?
Oh, I already did that for you. I put it in
But
the chat.
you can
But
why
you
don't we
can,
you
but you
can
can
go
go
ahead
right
and
ahead.
mention it. Yeah.
Okay, like I said, it's my first podcast.
Mhm.
The name of the book is Aaron's Story, One Wrong Turn.
Mhm.
And if you
Mhm.
just do Carol Engler in Amazon, the book will come up.
Mhm.
And it's certainly worth a read. And if
Yes.
there's, any way that you can get through one day at a time, I think this book will really help. It gives you some really important suggestions. Just real quick, one simple suggestion. These kids, they don't process like normal brains. So
Mhm.
instead of yelling at a kid, you want to lower your voice and you want to talk lower and lower and softer. So the more they have to try hard to hear you, the more they have to listen. You're hoping that the processing will be a little bit faster. And my
Mhm.
story is, you tell them what you told them, tell them what you just told them, and then tell them again what you just told them 10 times before. And you hope it sinks in.
Yes. That's how I was with my ex-husband, so I understand. I had to lower my voice.
It's the only way to
Talk
get their attention.
slowly.
But I did put the link to the book in the chat. So
Oh, well,
and
thank you
title and everything. So
so much.
yeah.
I'm just learning
Yeah.
all these things. So thank you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Miss Carol. You are definitely a joy.
Oh,
Definitely
this was my
a joy.
pleasure. And I'm going to have to do this again somewhere else because I really like it.
All right.
You're a natural, my dear. You're a natural.
Thank you both for your time and for everyone that had listened. And you can just Google me. And, my
Now
contact.
listen to you. Google me.
Oh, I learned that too. And my contact info will come up because I do have a lot of mothers that call or email or text, and want some specific directions. I help them with their children's school plans, the IEPs, and, working with counselors, working with students. So I still do that because there's just not enough knowledge out there.
Right. All right.
Yes, you're right. And I appreciate you for that. So thank you for bringing that awareness.
Thank you for helping me spread the word.
All righty.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Miss Carol. She's adorable. That is definitely an interesting. I'm gonna grab this book as well because my grandson is on the spectrum, and we found this out maybe 2-3 years ago. My daughter found out. Yeah.
Mhm.
So because we wasn't quite sure what was going on, and she, she's a very smart woman. She get it honestly, but she found out more about it, and we discovered that was his issue, but we had no clue. We had no clue.
Okay.
So I want to learn more about that for
All
sure.
right.
All right. Well, we did it again. We did it
Not the
again.
singing, please.
Okay, sorry. I think I should have been a singer in another life. I love
No.
to sing.
No.
Gerald, you have to support me.
I am supporting you.
You be
I am
trying to.
supporting you. Trust me, I'm
This
supporting
is talent. You hear this, Desiree? This is talent. You hear these vocals?
you. I am supporting you. Trust me.
Well, I appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone that's joined us. Of course, Desiree, thank you again for another awesome guest. As usual, you are a rock star in our hearts for sure, without a
Thanks,
doubt.
Desiree.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. And is that Zendaya? I can't really see it. Let me put my glasses on. Maybe that'll help because I
Zenobia?
couldn't see the name.
You trying to say
There we
Zenobia?
go. Zenovita.
Zenobia. Zenobia.
Zenovita. Zovina.
Zenobia. Love.
Zenovia. Thank you for joining. And of course, Shantae. But again, it's always a joy and a pleasure speaking to guests and finding out new things.
All right.
All
right.
Every day is an educational day.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next time.
Yes, till we meet again. Now it's time to say goodbye.
No.
See you real soon.